The unsettling quiet of my upstairs apartment was usually a comfort. I was 24, renting the top floor of an old house. It wasn't a true apartment. More like the second story had been converted into a small living space. A bedroom, bathroom, tiny kitchen, and a living room. The landlord lived out of state. A ghost I rarely saw. Downstairs remained empty, undergoing renovations that stretched on for months. This meant every night I slept above a dark, vacant floor. I told myself it was fine, that I was being dramatic, especially with the cheap rent. For the first few weeks, nothing. Then one night, around 1 a.m., as I scrolled through my phone in bed, a distinct thud echoed from directly below me. A single footstep. It was so clear it made me freeze, my breath catching in my throat. I waited, my heart thumping against my ribs. A few seconds later, another. It sounded exactly like someone slowly walking through the first-floor living room. I sat up, straining my ears in the oppressive silence. I tried to rationalize it, the house settling, perhaps. But it wasn't the usual creak or pop of an old house. This was heavier, like actual weight pressing down on floorboards. I lay still for a long time, eventually convincing myself it was nothing more than my imagination playing tricks. The next morning, I checked the downstairs door on my way out. It was locked. I even opened it, peering into the dusty, unfurnished rooms. Nothing but an old broken table in one corner. I felt foolish for my unease. The following night passed without incident. But the night after that, it returned. This time, it began around 12:30 a.m. The same slow, deliberate footsteps below me. 3 or 4 at a time, then silence, then a few more. It lasted for maybe 2 minutes. I muted my TV and stood in the middle of my living room, listening intently. My mind scrambled for explanations. An animal? Pipes? But a cold certainty settled in my gut. It sounded like a person. I texted my friend Scott, who made a joke about the downstairs tenant finally moving in. Over the next week, the unsettling noises became a nightly ritual. Always late, always from downstairs. Sometimes it was footsteps. But once, chillingly, it sounded like a cabinet door shutting. That was the first time genuine fear clawed at me. I called the landlord. He sounded more annoyed than concerned, stating only he and I had keys, and he was out of state. He blamed old house noises, casually suggesting I call the police if I was really nervous. His dismissal only deepened my sense of dread, confirming that I was utterly alone. One Friday night, I arrived home after 2 a.m. The moment I stepped into my upstairs apartment, a palpable wrongness hit me. Nothing looked amiss. The lights were off as I'd left them, yet something felt different. I stood, listening. Silence. Then directly below me, a heavy thud. It sounded like something had bumped into a wall or furniture. I stumbled backward, almost tripping on the rug, my eyes fixed on the floor as if I could see through it. Then more footsteps. I fled. I sat in my car, doors locked, and called the police. 2 officers arrived and thoroughly checked the first floor and outside. They found nothing. No forced entry, no one inside. They were polite, but their expressions conveyed their belief that I was simply overwrought by house noises. For a few days, I almost believed them. Then I started noticing small, insidious things. The downstairs door, which I knew I'd locked after the police left, was open by an inch when I returned from work. Another time, a faint smell of cigarette smoke wafted from outside a downstairs window. I didn't smoke, and neither did my neighbors. Then one night, the footsteps returned. This time, they stopped directly beneath my bedroom. I lay in bed, rigid, listening as whoever or whatever it was stood still in the room below me. I held my breath. After about 10 agonizing seconds, a light tapping sound. 3 taps, then silence. A wave of sickening dread washed over me. I felt watched, an illogical certainty that defied all reason. I grabbed my phone, texting my friend, begging to stay at his place. While waiting for a reply, the tapping came again. 3 more taps, in the exact same spot. I bolted, leaving half my belongings behind. From my car, I called the police again. This time, they found evidence. Near the back window, fresh marks and dirt on the sill, and in a downstairs closet, an old blanket I'd never seen before. It finally confirmed my fears. Someone had been in there. I stopped caring if I sounded paranoid and called the landlord again, detailing everything. He sounded genuinely concerned this time, promising to drive over the next day. I stayed elsewhere that night. The following afternoon he called. Nothing obvious, he said, but one of the back windows downstairs didn't lock properly. It looked closed, but from the outside, it could be forced up enough for a thin person to slip in. He speculated someone local might have discovered this loophole, using the empty first floor when no one was around. The thought made me feel nauseous. I asked if he would fix it immediately, and he assured me he would. But my decision was already made. The final straw came that same evening. I returned one last time to retrieve some clothes and my laptop. Upstairs, stuffing items into a duffel bag, a sound emerged from below that was entirely new. A cough. There was no mistaking it. It came from the first-floor hallway. For 2 horrifying seconds, I stood frozen, processing the sound. Then I snatched the bag and ran out so fast I left the rest of my belongings behind. I called the police again from my car. This time, they found fresh dirt and marks on the windowsill, and the ominous old blanket in the closet. I moved out that weekend. Ever since, any unfamiliar sound in the house at night hits me differently. The memory of those footsteps, that tapping, and the chilling cough in the empty house forever etched into my mind.
In moments of fear, uncertainty, or danger, reciting Ayatul Kursi acts as a powerful shield. It reminds us that Allah is the ultimate protector over all things. Recite it after every prayer, before sleeping, and when leaving home. No harm can touch you when Allah's protection surrounds you.